did take me 7 months. Thank you for asking. I can honestly say, without a doubt, Ulysses is the most difficult book I have ever read. You hear that a lot probably throughout the years as you get more into literature and talk to people about classic works. My goal this year was to read 15 classic works. I'm on number 13 right now, so I'm very excited to have almost hit that goal. I'm definitely going to make it. It's been such a great experience to go back and read these old books, and I'll be doing a lot more reviews on the ones that I've already read besides Ulysses in future videos. But I really wanted to talk about this one because this is always on the list of like the top greatest books ever written. It's always in the top 10 if it's not number 1. Ulysses by James Joyce. As you guys may have known from some previous videos this year, I did read Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce before I read Ulysses because it's somewhat of a prequel. It's not really, it's hard to say that, but one of the main characters in Ulysses is the main focal point of the Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, which is Stephen. Stephen is our main character for Ulysses along with Bloom. So these are our two main guys. Ulysses is this book that takes place over one day in Ireland in the very early 1900s. It's such an interesting book, and it's one of those books that you hate it when you're reading it. Like, the whole time I'm like, I'm giving this 1 star. I'm like swiping through my Kindle like, this book is ridiculous. The writing is insane. There's like chapters. Each chapter is written based off a chapter in the Odyssey, which I also just finished. So I tried to read those at the same time to kind of like help me along. I didn't know I would also should be probably reading Hamlet at the same time. This book is so full of like just literary parallels, and like each chapter is named off of like a great scene and a great instance in the Odyssey that Odysseus, or the Latin version Ulysses, has to go through, which is why this book's called Ulysses. I don't want to give away too much. I mean, and again, there's not really a great plot to this book. Again, it just takes place in one day, following these two characters and how they intertwine and react to each other, and there's seriously not enough words to describe this book to you. But I think, and I can't even talk too much about it in this review because it's so crazy, but I think what I'll focus on just for this review is the writing style, which I think made me give this book like a 3 out of 5 rather than a 1 out of 5, which I wanted to give it like the whole time I was reading it. But after I was done and I took a few steps away for a few days, I thought, you know, I get it. I get why this book is rated so highly. I get why it's just always listed as a great novel. So the writing is what makes this book so difficult. The first chapter or 2 isn't that bad. It's semi-easy to follow along with. I was one of those people, I didn't cheat. I actually read the whole book, but after I read a chapter, I would go onto SparkNotes and reread the plot summary and analysis just to kind of, I mean, without that, I can't imagine even understanding what this book was about without that. So I highly recommend that if you're going to do that. Use it as a supplement to your reading. It was extremely helpful for this. So like I said, the first few chapters are pretty easy to follow along with, and then it gets really weird. We drift in and out of first person to third person to our main character, and then all of a sudden we're watching our main character from another person on the street. There's so much going on throughout this long day in the book that is really intertwined, and it all sort of comes together at the end. Although we're still left feeling like, what did we just read? But some of the weirdest chapters, writing style-wise, there was 2 that really stand out. One is Joyce decides that he's going to write this chapter in English. Okay, which, right, normal. No, he's going to write it from the very beginnings of English to